Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I am Kayode Adebayo. The Central Bank of Nigeria has bowed to pressure, changing its earlier limit on weekly cash withdrawal for individuals from 100,000 naira to 500,000 naira across all channels. According to a circular signed by the Director of Banking Supervision, Haruna Mustafa, corporate entities are also allowed to withdraw as much as 5 million naira weekly. The policy still takes effect on January 9, 2023. The latest circular came on the heels of heightened protests, especially in Abuja, by interest groups calling on stakeholders to stop politicizing CBN's monetary policy interventions. The circular indicated that the new directive might put to rest or reduce the controversy generated by the policy marked for suspension by the House of Representatives. It was learned that the CBN came under intense criticism since the cash withdrawal limit plan was unveiled, with some economists warning that the new regime will stifle growth of the informal sector. Osun State House of Assembly has constituted a 10-man ad hoc committee to unravel the validity and authenticity of the state debt profile. Addressing the lawmakers at the plenary, Speaker of the State Assembly, Honorable Timothy Oweye, said the constitution of the committee became imperative against the backdrop of a series of reactions that have been trailing the pronouncement of Governor Ademola Adeleke over the debt profile. Parliamentary reporter Oluwatosin Oladokun completes the story.
Following Governor Ademola Adeleke's revelation of the debt profile of the state, members of the state parliament during the plenary resolved to constitute an ad hoc committee to ascertain the true state of the situation. They called that Osun State House of Assembly had instructed the agencies in charge of the state finance to furnish the House with a piece of information over state debt profile. While presiding over the plenary, the Speaker, Honorable Timothy Oweye, said the legislative arm of government has decided to unravel the validity and authenticity of the debt profile, citing the Constitution that empowers them to conduct such investigation. Honorable Oweye explained that the development became imperative against the backdrop of discrepancies in figures that have flooded the social media as well as traditional media. According to him, the House has resolved to set up a committee that would investigate the exact state of debt profile in order to beam light on the current state of debts and other related matters. He thereafter constituted a 10-man ad hoc committee with him as the chairman, Honorable Benga Ogunkomi, chairman, House Committee on Public Accounts as co-chairman 1, and Honorable Adebayo Olodo, chairman, House Committee on Finance and Appropriation as co-chairman 2. Other members are Honorables Koforola Adewumi, Tunde Olatunji, Lateef Jayeola, Babatunde Ibirogba, Babatunde Komolafe, Michael Adetoyi, and Abdullahi Abefe, while Clerk of the House, Mr. Simeon Akiwale, is the Secretary to the committee. Also during the plenary, members representing Ejigbo State Constituency, Honorable Israel Oyekunle, wrote a letter through the office of the Speaker, Honorable Timothy Oweye, informing the House on the need to amend a law tagged Osun State Primary Health Care Amendment No. 1, Bill 2022.
That report by Oluwatosin Oladokun was read by Adebare Ejimakinde. The National Commissioner for Independent National Electoral Commission, Festus Okoye, has said any politician engaging in buying permanent voters' card ahead of next year's elections is doing so in futility. Okoye made this known at a capacity-building workshop for journalists tagged Conflict-Sensitive Reporting and 2023 General Elections, sponsored by INEC and facilitated by NUJ National Secretariat, held at NUJ Press Center, Ibadan, Oyo State. Represented by INEC Deputy Director on Voter Education and Gender, Ndidi Okafo, Okoye said nothing would deny the right of any registered voter to exercise his or her franchise on the day of the election. Also speaking, the Oyo State Resident Electoral Commissioner Adeniran Taylor said the Commission will always be off to the task to attend to everything that falls within the ambit of its mandate as enshrined in the nation's constitution. Inspector General of Police Usman Akali Baba has warned that the police will not spare criminals hiding under secessionist agitation to attack Anambra State residents, police operatives, and facilities. IGP Baba warned that the force will not relent in ensuring safety and security for the people of the state and the country at large. The IGP spoke in Amambia in Anambra State during the inauguration of an ultramodern divisional police station attached to a police barracks for senior police officers of the division. He assured Anambra residents the determination of the force in defeating secessionists hands down for being unlawful. The IGP further promised to provide a level playing field for politicians and the electorate ahead of the 2023 general elections. And now to sports. The Confederation of African Football President, Patrice Motsepe, believes the continent can produce a FIFA World Cup finalist in 2026. Motsepe told a press conference that the Atlas Lions have opened the door for Africa by reaching the semi-finals this month, adding that he is confident an African nation will go further at the next World Cup. He commended Cameroon and Tunisia for their shock group victories over five-time World Cup winners Brazil and twice champions France, respectively, adding that other African countries must learn from Morocco. Motsepe confirmed that Nigeria is among countries bidding to host the 2025 African Cup of Nations after Guinea's recent withdrawal. Other countries interested in the hosting rights are Algeria, Benin, Morocco, and Zambia. Reports say US, Canada, and Mexico will co-host the 2026 World Cup, which for the first time will feature 48 teams. There are at least 10 African nations that can compete at the highest level and win the World Cup. And on the foreign scene, the World Health Organization says hospitals in China appear to be filling up amid concern about a fresh COVID-19 wave hitting the country. The executive director of the World Health Organization's Health Emergencies Program, Dr. Michael Ryan, says intensive care are busy despite officials saying numbers are relatively low. He added that the figures show that no one had died of COVID recently, but there is skepticism about the disease's real impact, saying vaccination is an exit strategy to coronavirus outbreaks. In recent days, hospitals in Beijing and other cities have been filling up as the latest COVID surge hits China. Since 2020, China has imposed strict health restrictions as part of its zero-COVID policy. However, the Chinese government ended most of those measures 2 weeks ago after landmark protests against the strict controls. The number of cases has since soared, raising fears of a high mortality rate among the elderly who are particularly vulnerable. Still on the foreign scene, Asia's most wanted alleged drug kingpin, Xie Lo, has been extradited to Australia, where he faces potential life imprisonment. Xie Lo is accused of heading up a multi-billion-dollar drug operation spanning several countries in the Asia-Pacific, from Japan to New Zealand. The notorious figure, whose status in Asia has long drawn comparisons to Mexican drug lord El Chapo, was arrested at a Dutch airport last year by Interpol following a near 2-year battle. The 59-year-old is alleged to be the head of one of the world's biggest multi-billion-dollar drug syndicates. The company, also known as the Sam Gore Syndicate, dominates the illegal drugs market across Asia. Australian police estimate it's responsible for up to 70% of the drugs coming to Australia alone. They said the group smuggled huge quantities of drugs, particularly methamphetamine, but also heroin and ketamine into the country in packs of tea. Meanwhile, Mr. Xie has denied the drug charges, claiming that his arrest was set up by Australian authorities. And that ends the midday news on OSBC TV. It was edited by Adebare Ejimakinde. Please join us at 3 for the state news. Good afternoon.
Ika